there's a study that was done in the Harvard Business Review, and if you call your leads within the first 5 minutes of them coming in, there's an 800 times increase on the number of leads that you will convert.
Wow.
And I have like interviewed and consulted with thousands of mortgage professionals, and I can count basically on my fingers how many of them actually call every single lead within the first 5 minutes of them coming in.
Right.
So the mortgage industry en masse is basically taking that opportunity and missing 800 times the conversion that should be happening.
Hey, loan officers, welcome to Loan Officer Growth, the podcast that helps loan officers grow their business, increase their success, and have more freedom. You are in for a special treat today. I've got Chris Johnstone joining us. Chris, man, well, first, let me tell you, Chris is with Connection Incorporated. He's going to talk a little bit about that. I hope a lot. But man, I don't know if you remember the first time we met. It's been 11 years. Do you remember that event that we met at? And you were with your dad.
It was in Florida at like almost like a restaurant type place that was like right on the water at like, I think that was the very first ever unofficial Freedom Club event, because it wasn't even called the Freedom Club at that time.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah,
That's
it was
nuts.
I can't believe it's been 11 going on 12 years. That's so crazy.
It's wild. And man, talk about growth. I mean, yeah, I think the last event, well, you were just at a Freedom Club event, and there's like hundreds of people there. I think when we met, there was like what, 8, maybe 10 people in the room.
It was small. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, that was a good day when we met, man.
Heck,
that was
yeah.
Awesome. So why don't you tell us how you got started? And I think you were in mortgage lending, right? Originally,
yeah. So my background is originally construction. I was a site supervisor for a construction company straight out of school, and I loved that, but just life happens, and I ended up getting into the mortgage business with my dad. So my dad is a mortgage broker, and semi-retired at this point now, which is amazing. So playing his guitar, spending time with the grandkids, but He brought me into the business, and I was not a good loan officer. I didn't like the, meeting people at their houses, the paperwork, chasing the underwriters, that whole process of things. But what I figured out very early on is that my nerdiness was actually an asset. It had been a detriment to me up until that point in my life. But I realized once I got into business that learning how to build websites, learning how to use technology to run the business. I mean, this is, going back probably 15 years ago, that was going to be an asset moving forward. So I originally was able to really ramp up our production in the mortgage business by figuring out how to run ads on Google, drive people to lead generation pages, and get them to fill out their information as home buyers. And what I ended up doing was taking one of the largest real estate teams in our home city. I did, 300, 500 leads a month for them in return for their mortgage referrals. And then that turned into a business model for us. So what I ended up doing is saying, okay, well, I'm going to sell these leads, and that's going to be my profit. So I was generating the leads for about $3 a piece. I was selling them for $10 a piece. And what I was doing is I was going out and getting loan officers and mortgage brokers to say, okay, look, put together a lunch and learn, invite 10 of the top realtors in the marketplace. I'll come in, I'll do a presentation, but we can only sell the system to 2 people in a market. So I would show up, do the presentation over lunch, and literally would have, like, I had realtors stand up at the table halfway through my presentation, just throw their credit card at me and be like, I don't care how much it is, I'll take it. It was like, I was, but the presentation was like, hey, you have a business card, and that business card is now on the internet. We can use it to generate leads. So we did a ton of business off that. And that's how I got started in marketing. I figured out that clients searching Google to find a professional was, other than database marketing and getting referrals from a referral partner, that was the third greatest way to grow a business. And from there, never look back.
Yeah. And it's still probably the same, right? It's people, we were talking about it the other day that even if you get a referral from a realtor, like if a buyer gets a referral from a realtor, they're still going to Google us before they call us, and they want to see that we're relevant out there.
Oh, 100%. And it's more powerful now than it's ever been.
Right.
And we have learned a lot. So today, 2.5, 3 years ago, we were doing multiple seven figures doing ads management for people in the mortgage industry. And today we will not sell paid ads to a mortgage professional. And the
Wow.
reason being, the ad networks have changed so much. The quality of the leads have changed so much. And we have learned so much about the industry. And
Right.
so what we've found is that there's two different types of leads. And so if you look at running an advertisement online, you've basically got two options, or even lead gen. Like there's three ways to grow a mortgage business: past customers in your database,
Yep.
referral partners, realtors, financial planners, investment advisors, insurance professionals, and then marketing and advertising. So we'll talk about database in a second. We'll talk about realtors in a second, because we've got some AI strategies that are
Right.
working just incredible for that. But if you look at that third avenue of how do I grow at scale? How do I do marketing and advertising and actually get a customer from that? There's two pathways. One is what pretty much everybody is doing, which is buying leads or running ads and getting leads or trigger leads. It's lead gen. You're buying leads. And as soon as you do that, you have a dynamic with that future customer of you chase them to start the relationship. You get a lead, you get somebody's contact information, you have to call those people, text them, email them, and you have to have an automated system to do that, because
Right.
there's a study that was done in the Harvard Business Review. And if you call your leads within the first 5 minutes of them coming in, there's an 800 times increase on the number of leads that you will convert.
Wow.
And I have interviewed and consulted with thousands of mortgage professionals, and I can count basically on my fingers how many of them actually call every single lead within the first 5 minutes of them coming in.
Right. Right.
So the mortgage industry en masse is basically taking that opportunity and missing 800 times the conversion that should be happening. The second part of that Harvard Business Review study is that it takes an average of 7 meaningful contacts with a lead before they will convert. And the average amount of time is between 2.5 months and 4.5 months for somebody to actually raise their hand, say, I'm interested, come in, and potentially become a customer.
Wow.
Well, if you look at the statistics on salespeople, only 80% of sales professionals follow up once. It's
Crazy.
20% of people get their leads and just never follow up at all, which is crazy.
I believe it. Yeah.
But then if you go to the second follow-up, it drops down to only 25% of professionals will do a second follow-up with their leads. And by the time you get to that 7th meaningful contact, and this study was done by, I believe it was HubSpot, but one of the major CRMs, it's only 5% of sales professionals are actually following up with the leads past that point. So
Right.
if we take a look at chasing leads, all of a sudden you're the one chasing them, and you've got to have all these systems in place in order to make sure it happens. Well, what we've discovered is that there is inbound lead generation in the mortgage industry. And what that means is somebody goes out and researches mortgage lender. They want to talk to a mortgage lender, or they want to buy a house. They're ready to go. They go to Google. That is where 97.77% of all searches on the internet are still happening on Google.
Wow.
They go to Google, they search mortgage lender, best mortgage lender near me. And these are people that don't currently have a lender and oftentimes aren't working with a real estate agent. They're getting ready to do a transaction within the next 90 days. There is a map placement that shows up on the front page of Google, and almost all of the qualified leads are choosing one of the 3 businesses that show up in that local marketplace.
Mm.
And what happens is they click on the business, they read the ratings and reviews, they pick up the phone, and they call that business. And so the lead is no longer an inbound lead that you have to go chase. It's an inbound lead where all you have to do is pick up the phone and they say, hey, I read some great things about you online. Can you help me with XYZ? They want to submit an application. And that's why, so I spoke to Carl White on his podcast a couple of months back. He tracks all his numbers. 17% of the phone calls that they get from Google fund into an actual deal.
Wow.
And that's the difference between inbound and outbound. On outbound,
Right.
you're lucky if you can convert 1%. So what we're heavily focused on right now is combining all three pathways of business: past customers, referral partners, and getting those inbound leads from Google. Because out of all of the lead gen that we've done over the last decade, the leads that come from Googling a local mortgage lender and calling in are by far the highest quality that you can get. And there's so many of them out there. It can be a really steady, consistent stream of business. Like 3, 5, I spoke to one of our clients in Memphis last week. Last month, she funded 6 loans from people finding her on the front page of Google and calling her. She did more business off her Google profile than she did realtor referrals last month.
That's crazy. Yeah.
So if it's okay with you, Richard, is it okay if I unpack that strategy a little bit more on how?
Oh, yeah. I'd love
Okay.
to hear that. And I know our listeners will too.
And I know when we originally started talking about this episode, we were talking about artificial intelligence.
Right.
And so what's happened on Google is that Google is starting to lose search to Microsoft, because Microsoft is partnered with OpenAI and they have ChatGPT. And Google is terrified that ChatGPT is going to become the new search engine, which I believe that it is.
Right.
I truly believe that people are just going to have the assistant on their phone. You can now set your Siri up to connect to your ChatGPT right on the phone. And you can say, hey, Siri, ask ChatGPT where the best mortgage broker in town is. And ChatGPT will go search the internet, get the results, and bring it back to people. So
I hate to interrupt, but that's something a lot of people don't realize. They think ChatGPT ended at 2021, but they don't realize that Microsoft has it connected to live information, right?
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. And there's a plugin called Keymate where if you upgrade for the whopping $20 a month, it might be $10 a month.
Yeah.
But if you upgrade ChatGPT, so you get GPT-4 and you get plugins. So there's a plugin called Keymate. You can enable it on your ChatGPT and it will search Google in real time as opposed to Bing.
Nice.
So absolutely 100%, you can get ChatGPT to do your Google searches for you and work in real time on the internet, which is crazy.
It's awesome.
Just nuts. So in order to win the search race, Google is leaning very heavily into AI. It was announced on Monday that Sergey Brin, the original, one of the founders and CEO of Google, is coming back. He was basically stepped away from the entire company. And he said, listen, we are not doing well on AI implementation and I'm coming back. So he has now come back to Google to solve this problem, which is massive.
Nice.
So what Google has done in the short term is given search engine rankings to artificial intelligence. And it has totally transformed the front page. If you're looking in your local marketplace at the rankings that are coming up in the top 3, they're bouncing all over the place as artificial intelligence is trying to figure out, okay, who is the most reputable local business that I should be showing to customers that are searching for this product and service. And so in the mortgage industry, we've taken major markets like Memphis, Miami, Dallas, in Canada, we've done Toronto, Vancouver, Calgary, these major city centers where if you were to come to me a year ago and be like, hey, I want to run an SEO program and get my mortgage business in the map placement, it was like, sorry, that ship has sailed. Those those businesses have been cemented there for years. It's incredibly difficult to bump them out. But now that Google has gone away from just like purely, how do I put it? There used to be search criteria where it was almost mathematical. If you could build more high quality backlinks, if you could build more authority with Google, you would pop up on that search. Now Google has said, okay, artificial intelligence, you get to choose how the front page looks and which businesses show up on the front page. And that has given us a massive opportunity to take these rankings in these local marketplace by reverse engineering what AI is looking for and giving those quality signals in the local marketplaces. And it's working exceptionally well. So what I've discovered is that if you go into any major local marketplace, like Richard, where is your office located?
So it's in the Houston area. Well, Katy, Texas. It's right outside Houston.
Awesome. So if I pull up a Google search here and I put in Katy, Texas mortgage lender, what happens is there's no advertisements that show up on the front page of Google anymore. So the artificial intelligence has said, hey, look, most people don't click on the ads that show up at the top of Google.
Right.
And Google has given the AI the goal of like, help people find what they're looking for with just one click. I believe that's what they've given the artificial intelligence as a goal. So they've taken normally those 4 ads that show up at the top, which is where Google gets all their revenue. The AI has taken those off of the front page, and what shows up first? It's the map placement. Because Google knows when somebody searches for mortgage lender, they're most likely looking to call somebody. So the 3 businesses show up, but then directly underneath that, there's this little section that says people also ask. And for our listeners, that is actually the most frequently asked questions of people in that local marketplace. And Google is showing the most frequently asked questions right on the homepage. And if you click on one of those questions, it actually shows the answer right on the front page without you even having to go to a website.
Wow.
So what we know is that Google wants to show local businesses, and they want to show local businesses that are answering people's most frequently asked questions right on the homepage. Well, the Google business profiles have a brand new section that's been added to them called Q&A. And so one of the 5 strategies that we're using AI for is we go to the front page and we look at the most frequently asked questions, which are placed there by Google's AI. We take those questions, put them into ChatGPT, write the answers, and then on our clients' Google profiles, we have a Google profile that asks the question, and then we use the AI response to give the answer. So in a very short period of time, we've got 1 mortgage lender or 2. We only work with 2 lenders per market.
Right.
But we've basically got 2 lenders that are giving the best information to AI because they're answering all of the most frequently asked questions in the local market.
That's awesome.
So hopefully that's helpful to the listeners.
I'm sure it is. Yeah.
So that's one way we're using AI. Another way that we're using AI is we white label a piece of software. The software is called High Level, and our version of it, it's our white label on top of it, is called Connect My Leads. It's a phenomenal piece of software, and they have introduced ChatGPT into the CRM on the back end. So it's now an AI-powered communication engine for your clients. So getting ranked on the front page of Google is awesome. But if you don't have 5-star ratings and reviews on that profile, people will call your competitors before they will call you. And very much picking up your phone is the most profitable thing that you can do when you're advertising on Google. I mean, you preach that all of the time, like just pick up your phone. It's the most profitable thing you can do.
Yeah.
On Google, it's hypersensitive because if they call the first one with the most ratings and reviews and those people don't pick up their phone, they call the second one. And if those people don't pick up the phone, they call the third one, and the person who picks up the phone gets the business. So you don't necessarily have to have the most ratings and reviews, but you need to be competitive and you need to pick up your phone. So what we do with the CRM is we make it so that we upload our clients' databases of past clients. And the one question that I ask everybody when we talk to them first up is like, have you called your past clients in the last 90 days?
Right.
And the answer is almost always no. Like, oh, I send a newsletter. And it's like, great. That worked 5 years ago, and newsletters are great. They're not a bad thing. They work, but you can do so much more.
Right.
Most people in the mortgage business, Richard, you know this better than I do. The majority of loan officers get their business from their past customers and referral partners,
Large percentage. Yeah.
but don't actually do the activities to make the phone calls and build those relationships. So what we do is we say, okay, we're going to load all your contacts into this AI powered CRM system, and we're going to reach out. Emails, text messages, and then we also have our concierge program where we can add on phone calls where we will actually make the phone calls. And that generates repeat business. It generates referral business, but the script that we use is actually focused on getting 5-star ratings and reviews on the Google profile.
Right.
We had one client, he's 45 days into the program. He's got 73 5-star ratings and reviews as a result of us reaching out to his past customer database, which is less than 400 people.
That's awesome.
Right? And it goes back to, again, something else that I learned from you and the Freedom Club is like, just ask. If you literally reach out to your past customer database and ask for those 5-star ratings and reviews, you will get them, and you get paid to make those phone calls. Because even though everybody seems to be super hyper interest rate, sensitive in the mortgage industry right now, I have spoken to 3 of the top 10 mortgage lenders in the country, and they are still writing refinances like crazy.
Right.
People are putting solar on their houses. People are adding nanny suites. People are doing things. And for you to have the conversation of, yes, rates are high right now, but we're going to get this done because it's what you want to do. And in 6 to 9 months or a year, when that time comes and the rates go back down, don't worry. I've got a rate watch, and I'm going to call you, and we're going to refi this thing back down. And voila, you've just created 2 deals. Those deals are still out there. They're coming from reaching out to the database, and you get 5-star reviews on your Google profile where you're making money connecting with your database. So that's kind of like the 2 steps that we like to focus on. Now, the thing about AI and what High Level is doing is it can intelligently now look at the responses that come back from people and determine from hey, thanks, I'm good, and you don't have to do anything with it. And it can also detect, hey, this person has a question, this person needs help, this person is a potential application, and it can trigger either a separate follow-up funnel or a notification to you so that you know out of the database marketing campaign who you need to focus on and who you need to be in touch with right away. So it makes it, rather than just like mass communication, it is really a personalized approach, but you can run it on your entire database all at once. So we get the 5-star reviews while generating repeat and referral business. We get those on the Google profile. We use AI to rank the Google profile so that we get inbound calls. And then what we're doing is we're coaching our loan officers that every application that they take is an opportunity to open up referral partner relationships. And so, Richard, one of the things that I know you for is you create some of the best lists of realtors in the mortgage industry. And so what we do is we coach our clients to like, hey, go get that list from Richard, bring it back. Every time you get a mortgage application from somebody who calls you from Google, that person needs a realtor, but they also need a financial planner, a tax planner, an accountant, an insurance professional. There's 10 different professionals that you can potentially reach out to set up referral relationships with every application that you take. So in the instance of a realtor list, they get the realtor list from you. That goes into a campaign inside High Level. Every time they get an application, they send out a handful of emails to those referral partners. Hey, I just got an application. Would you like this deal? The one that responds back first is the one that gets the referral, but it's your ability to open up referral relationship conversations with all of those targeted professionals on that list. So you're tapping into all 3 avenues of business while building out your Google profile and leveraging AI at the same time.
Love it.
Does that make sense?
Definitely. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. So sorry to go on a rant there, but
No, no, that's good stuff, man.
it's been an evolution for sure. And to be at this point of just focusing on where the business actually comes from is fantastic for us as a business. But in this market, for the loan officers that we work with, it's super powerful stuff.
Yeah. So shameless plug. How can people get ahead of or get a hold of you?
So connectionincorporated.com is the best way. It's all spelled out,
Yep.
connectionincorporated.com. And then socials, Instagram, Facebook, all of that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's good stuff, man. I can't believe how quick time went by.
Yeah. Me too. I apologize.
No, no, that's okay. It was good quality information, man. Yeah. So if anybody wants to get a hold of you, connectionincorporated.com. And
Absolutely. And my email's chris@connectionincorporated.com.
perfect. Perfect. Very cool. Well, man, this has been awesome. I appreciate you coming on.
Awesome. Richard, thank you for having me. And again, I apologize for talking so much. You got me
No,
right after my morning coffee, so I apologize.
no, don't even apologize. This is all good stuff. This is good quality information for people to hear. Yeah.
Awesome.
All right,
Well,
brother.
again, thank you for
Thank
having
you
me on
so
the show.
much. We're going to have to get on another episode and talk even more in depth.
I would love that.
Okay. Thanks, man.
Next.